For over 27 years here in Tuscaloosa, Catfish Heaven has been pleasing our taste buds with their delicious catfish, pan trout, hot wings, coleslaw, hush puppies, and don't forget about those made-to-order French fries. Whether it's your snack time, lunchtime, or dinner time, give the guys a call over at Catfish Heaven at 205-752-7222, or you can make your order online at catfishheaventuscaloosa.com. So head on over to Catfish Heaven at 2502 21st Street. See you there.
Hello?
Hey, Rick, I had to call you to tell you that the food that you brought to the party last night was wonderful. It made me think about my grandmother's cooking. Where did you get that food, brother?
I went down to Thomas Rib Shack to pick up the ribs, but when I got there, I seen that they had more than just ribs. I seen baked chicken, fried chicken, corn muffins, vegetables, apple pie, peach pie, and I looked around and I seen a sign that told me that they got chitlins and oxtails on Sunday. Oh, all I can tell you, go down to 2931 15th Street or just give them a call like I did at area code 205-759-5010. Thomas Rib Shack, Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Head on down to Archibald and Woodrow, some of the best barbecue in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, y'all. Right off of 4125 Greensboro Avenue, Tuscaloosa, Alabama 35405. You can hit them up at 205-331-4858. Also, you can find them at their other location, 1211 Martin Luther King Boulevard, Northport, Alabama 35476, 205-345-6861.
Tastes so good, make you want to slap your mama.
Fly, fly, fly.
Gucci, huh? I drink till I'm drunk.
Fellas, head on down to New Generation Barber Shop, right off of 2600 McFarland Boulevard East, Suite C. Go ahead and get you a fly cut from my boy Fred Brown. You can hit him up at 205-292-4995. Also Sam Brown at 205-722-8506. And how can I forget about my boy Amp the Barber? Hit him up at 205-561-7473. Check him out, y'all.
Take a pick, I might as well. Hell, drop the top and take a selfie, Marco.
You shopping at a goddamn number 2 pizza.
Fish Fry, Friday, September 10th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Fish Fry. Come and get your whitening fish plate for only $8.50 with your choice of 2 sides, baked beans, potato salad, or French fries. Got a taste for another side? Only $1.50. You got a sweet tooth? We got you covered. A nice slice of cake for only $3. New Kingdom Baptist Church, Tuscaloosa, at 2915 17th Street, Tuscaloosa. Call ahead, orders all welcome. 205-730-5718. Fish Fry, New Kingdom Baptist Church, Friday, September the 10th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. See you there.
Can't nobody do me like you, Jesus. Can't nobody do me like you, Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord, yeah.
Can I get a sound check? 1, 2. For my folk up in the sound booth. Hey, can I get a sound check? 1, 2. For my folk up in the sound booth. Rock on. This is the sound booth. Yes, we all around you in the land of titles where we known the rock hounds tooth and the talent surrounds you. I know it confounds you that these country bumpkin straight up astound you. This is the place where we speak our mind and smoke in my lungs. And I die if I hold in, I can't hold my tongue. I'm bringing all I got, I ain't holding nothing back. That's why I'm the goat at this when it come to making tracks, making bangers in the factory without even trying. And my city reveres me, so tell me where I'm lying. If it's Peasy endorsed in this platinum, of course, been dominating the charts and BDS reports. Now paving the way for my sound booth fam. Cause yes, they the best, cause they rockin' with Sam. And yes, they the best, cause they rockin' with us. And I don't endorse no other station, so I guess you out of luck. Can I get a sound check 1, 2? For my folk up in the sound booth, huh? Can I get a sound check 1, 2? For my folk up in the sound booth, come on. Now let me get a
Good evening and welcome to another episode of the all-new T-Town 411 Report. I'm your host, Darryl McKinstry, along with my good friend, Big Mike, with Sound Booth Radio 106.1. Mike, tell them how to sound in on Sound Booth Radio and Sound Booth TV.
Sure thing, Darryl. To get in with us on Sound Booth Radio, just go to your iOS or your Google Play Store, download that Live 365 app. Once you've downloaded that free app, then you go to the search bar and type in Sound Booth Radio 106.1. That'll get you on with us on the radio side. And to tune in with us on the TV side, just go to YouTube, type in Sound Booth Radio, and you'll be able to check us out on YouTube on Sound Booth TV. Also, you can catch us right here on Facebook Live, Sound Booth TV. Every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
Well, Mike, we want to thank y'all for what all you do, along with Carmelo, the producer behind the scene that does and make things happen. As you all can tell, I am at WORK tonight. The boss man had to go to work tonight. They had a big concert down here at the Tuscaloosa Amphitheater, and I had to come to work tonight. So, hey, got to do what we got to do.
That's right.
Mike, tonight, let me put this out here first. If there's anyone looking for work in the security field, please give me a call, 205-292-5080. There's a dire need of work available, and just need some people to get qualified. And what I mean by that, the Alabama Regulatory Security Board is now requiring every security officer to have a basic 8-hour, 14-hour training class, and you must have this license. So things are about to change up for security go. Y'all might have seen my post earlier this morning. Look for qualified or people that's willing to get qualified. And that's the thing about it right now. I know there's a lot of people not qualified, but there's a local class that can be held. And it's sad that right now, a lot of companies that work in security in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, is coming outside the city because we don't have certified or qualified people to work the jobs. There's jobs here in Tuscaloosa, Mike. We cannot no longer say there's no jobs, and we can no longer say that the wage is an issue. So where are the workers? Please come, give me a call. I'm looking for people that are looking for part-time work. There's people that need full-time work, of course. But if you're interested in the security business, please give me a call, 205-292-5080. And I will make sure you get qualified. We'll get you through the class. It's a certification class you have to go through. It's a 1-day certification class, and that's for unarmed. Now, if you want to go through armed security, it's a 2-day class. And but right now, I'm definitely looking for unarmed. And women, please apply. I see you on here. Please apply. Looking for ladies. Matter of fact, majority of the people I've talked to that's interested in the position right now has been ladies. So this job is available for young women and old women, older women. You ain't got necessarily. I'm not going to necessarily say old, but older. But if we're looking for definitely people that are accountable and credible and able to get certified and qualified on the job. I want to thank Veronica for she's supplying us with the vaccination. As of today, there are 28 are fully vaccinated, 119 are partially or not vaccinated. In the ICU, 6 are fully vaccinated, and 33 partially or not vaccinated. I don't know if she recognized she didn't give me the whole thing, or did I miss it? But as always, I want to send out.
Hello.
Let me say a quick prayer for the families, Mike. The bereavement families, the Duncan family, the Norfleet family, and anyone else that are going through Jones family. We just want to say a special prayer for them. Heavenly Father, thank you right now for this day, opportunity to come together. We ask that you watch over the families right now as they're going through this bereavement situation right now. Heavenly Father, continue to watch over the doctors, the nurses, and all these workers. If you, in Jesus Christ's name, we pray, amen.
Amen.
Okay, she sent me another one. She sent me another one. Let's see. Okay, she said as of right now, there's 147 inpatients in DCH health system. 39 are positive for COVID-19 treated in ICU. 14 inpatient positive for COVID-19 on biopsy, and 22 on ventilators. So the numbers are going down just a little bit, but it still exists, y'all. It still exists. You know, wear your mask.
They're actually having to send people. And to find ICU beds, they actually sending folks out of state right now to try to find, because they don't have any ICU beds. I think they saying we got 40, I think 40 more people than they do ICU beds. So they're in negative 40 as far as ICU beds going right now. And it's not necessarily just the beds; it's the people to work the beds, to the nurses and staff.
You said earlier about. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you.
Go ahead again.
I was saying it's more or less the people that staff the beds more so than just the actual beds in itself. So we definitely in desperate need of nursing. The COO of DCH Health Systems here in Tuscaloosa was on the news earlier today and yesterday. They're working on short-term solutions as well as long-term solutions, and of course, some of those solutions going to require them to bring in traveling nurses if they can find them.
Mike, that's what it's when we got off the show on Tuesday, I had a call, and I said we weren't bashing traveling nursing. I said we were saying that we think the nurses that are locally should get some of the same pay as the traveling nurses. That's all. I got a call. I was like, "Whoa, I'm sorry. I didn't want to make it sound like that."
And the thing is, that all the nurses they're saying the same thing. They're saying they understand traveling nurses get paid more, but when you start looking at the difference, the gap in between what you paying your everyday nurses and your traveling nurses, it's a huge gap. When you talk about you paying them 3 and 4 times more than you're paying your everyday nurses. Of course, somebody gonna feel a certain kind of way about that.
Yeah.
You're doing the same job.
And I hate we can't do the three-way phone call. Maybe Veronica could call your number 310-6067, and maybe she can explain a little bit more about this traveling nurse job. And I don't know. I think they're trying to say maybe there's some regulatory, I guess some rules and regulations that go along with traveling nursing. I don't know all of it, and certain license that they have to have, and about Alabama just now coming on board with the traveling nursing stuff. So if she could call in on your number, and maybe I'll be able to hear it. But I hope no one took it that we was bashing the traveling nursing. No, we're not bashing. I was just saying, I want y'all well paid. I want everybody paid like they should be paid. That's basically what I was saying. And I was taking up for the in other words, what I was saying, you got nurses that's traveling from California to Tuscaloosa or vice versa. They have the same credentials. But at some point in time, I think as far as training goes, there might be a little issue that goes along with the way California might do things and a way that Tuscaloosa might do things or Alabama might do things.
Mm-hmm.
And she probably asking, what's the number? The number for Mike, if y'all call in tonight, we only able to talk with Mike on his number, 205-310-6067. Once again, 205-310-6067. And Veronica posted, she said, what we said was true. Locally trained nurses would go to DCA if they paid more. So that's, I didn't want to make it. I got that phone call. We talked probably about an hour after the show about trying to explain to me how it worked and all that. So it was a little bit above my head, but like I said, I want everybody to get paid. I'm just saying, if you're a nurse at DCH, hey, I want you to get worthily paid for what you're worth. Just like I do police officers.
Hey, Darryl, hold on one second. We got Veronica on the line. I'm sorry.
Okay,
go ahead.
Okay. Nobody was bashing nurses. I'm a nurse. But what I'm saying is, as a nurse that's traveled and a nurse that works locally, and this is pre-COVID, if DCH, and we were talking about DCH in the facilities.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to recruit, like they're having a shortage now, they're going to have to recruit better. They keep wanting to throw out $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 sign-on bonuses. But traveling, no matter where you come from, it's nursing, whether you come from California, New York, Alabama, some may not be as trained as others, but if you take them with the minimum amount of training that they need for any department they're working in, right now it's ICU and COVID. Why not have some of the nurses who are here locally that usually go to Birmingham for the $5 to $10 extra? Why not pay these people more to give them this incentive that Governor Ivey has right now with the money she's reallocated? And once COVID starts to get better, why not pay these nurses better? Because they've been traveling nurses for years, and the traveling nurses don't get insurance. A lot of those traveling nurses, I'm telling you, are making $5,000 plus a week.
Mm.
They need to do more than just get $5, $10, $15, $1,000 bonuses. $15,000 a month, and they're offering the local nurses things like bonuses. DCH recruit, and they've always said, it used to be a time where years and years ago you would get your pink slip 33.
So, Veronica, let me ask you this: they were saying, is it mandatory that the traveling nurses they have to work weekends, of course? Is it mandatory, or is it just certain things you put in your contract when you sign up for it?
What did you say? I can barely hear.
Oh, he said, is it mandatory that they work weekends, or is it certain things they put in their contract that they only work for?
I mean, there's just nursing is it's no set anything with nursing. It's so broad. It could be how they work can be a variety of ways. Some have no choice; they have to work weekends. Some are only looking to work weekends. Some want to work Monday through Friday. Just depends on what their agency has and which agency is at that particular facility and what they work out. If they don't have it in one area, they can go to another area that offers weekends only. If they don't like that, they can choose an area that has Monday through Friday. It's just when you come to all these different nursing agencies that exist, there's a variety of ways and shifts and options available as far as how you work. And so they give nurses some agencies may pay their full stipend for living in vehicle. Some may pay half the living, but their pay is still far, far more than what local nurses are receiving. That is the whole reason for the walkout in UAB. We are saying they can afford to pay these contractual traveling nurses with these agencies, these contracts they create. Why can't they use that money to recruit more local nurses or more nurses from this area, the seven major counties that usually serve Tuscaloosa?
Hey, Veronica, it's also very true that the nurses are only asking like 10% more than what they're making right now to bring them up level with the surrounding areas.
Nurses don't make that much in this area. Even like when this one lady was talking, even in Birmingham they don't, but they make more. They make better there. But there are places you can find that'll pay you better there. But right now, like those nurses, they're in Birmingham at UAB, so they're just for better working conditions and an increased pay. Exactly how much they asked for, I don't know. But the deal is working through this pandemic. We're seeing nurses. Don't have enough nurses trained. I don't think that's the case. I think there are enough nurses that will drive from Pickens County. Nurses do that every day anyway. They come from Pickens County up here to work, Hale County, Greene County. We have nurses from Tuscaloosa County. They also have counties willing to come up here and work. Now, some maybe not trained as much as others in the ICU department or whatever department, but nurses. But then those people come in and make that much money, and then most of the time, the biggest excuse that maybe the administration, well, we don't pay their insurance. Well, by the time they make all that money, they can pay for their own insurance and a couple other people's too.
Yeah, I just want to say that that's not the end all be all thing. Because
see, a lot of people don't be knowing for real, and that's the first thing they say. Maybe they don't. They probably have to pay for their own insurance, and they probably guess what? They probably can't afford ACA because at the ACA affordable care, you have to make so much threshold. After you, it's like that. So even if they're paying $700 a month for insurance, if they're making $5,000 a week, even if they have to pay for their rent, I knew one girl living over there. Found out about an agency that got a contract. She came back and moved into country club. The rent she paid because she had a stipend as well, and she had so much amount for her usage of her car. So what she paid was still some of the that have 5+ years experience.
So Veronica, is it Alabama just now getting into this particular license that is necessary, and is it paid for by the from the pandemic money?
What did he say about the license?
He said, is Alabama just now starting to get into that traveling nurses licensing? And if it is it paid for by the COVID money?
Alabama DCH has had traveling nurses. If I say DCH because that's the only major hospital in Tuscaloosa County.
No, I think he asking like if here in town can apply for a traveling nurse's license.
So if you live here in town, like if you live, see, that's the thing. That's what's wrong with DCH. And see, that's how they end up preventing people that live here from making the money. Because I was call me one said, work out different contracts with them. So she called me back. We talked to her, like gave my information. She called me back and said, you live within 50 miles, so they won't pay contract nurses. Their particular agreement that they had, DCH wasn't willing to pay through that agency contract nurses that live within a 50-mile radius. So they probably had that agreement with a lot of people. That's why I and said they end up coming back here working after so much time you have to wait. Then they'll come back here and work as a traveling nurse. So, and you know, things in nursing is forever changing. But it has been that way before.
Yeah.
You live here within so many miles, they won't pay you. That you have to not be within out of range of 50 miles was what that lady told me for that particular agency. And she was out of North Carolina setting up traveling agencies for getting nurses to come to Tuscaloosa to DCH. And she said, I have a hospital that's right there in your area. Because other places will pay. They might not pay as much as they pay someone that's coming from across the country, but they pay. They still pay them, and they may have their own stipulations or whatever. But with that particular agency, the stipulation was that you had to live outside of a 50-mile radius of DCH in order to qualify as a traveling nurse working there. So, I mean, it's a lot of people. Like y'all said, y'all know people come from all over these counties. Like I said, Hill County, Greene County, Sumter County, Pickens County, Tuscaloosa County, Greene County. They're RNs. And the major hospital they first see, if they don't go over to Columbus, like if they're in Pickens County, they come to Tuscaloosa. So, and DCH is the first major hospital.
Yeah, that's correct.
You're coming back this way up 2059. So there are a lot of nurses that are willing to work at DCH. There are a lot of nurses right now that's working at the nursing homes and stuff. They started out, DCH. That's why when we got out of nursing school, the nursing homes was paying more than DCH. I think they're more competitive now with the local nursing homes, but at one point years ago in the 90s, they were paying more than DCH. That's why a lot of people didn't get emergency room experience because they were trying to make money. They would go over to the nursing home and work.
I agree with you, Veronica. Hold on one second. Let me add Daryl back in.
Hey, Mike.
Okay, Daryl.
I put it on solo. Look like my connection. I don't know if it's the whole audio video, but connection is bad right now.
I think that Veronica probably can hear you a little bit better now, right, Veronica?
Yeah, I can hear better now.
Okay. And basically what's happening is I think I seen what Justin said, the audio was bad. Well, we're trying something new. We're trying on-scene locations and stuff like that. But unfortunately, I had to work tonight. And so that's why
And I'm actually trying to figure out another way to get y'all a little bit louder on this, because we're doing it through StreamYard. Normally we have another in the studio, and it allows us to to amplify. So that's what we're trying to do right now.
We're good. I'm looking forward to it. We got Capote on the line with us, Mike.
Hey, okay. Hey.
How you doing, Kyle?
Yeah. Hey, hi, guys. Hey, Jesse. Who's it?
That's Cap Porter.
Cap Porter, myself, and you, Mike.
Okay, yeah. So we weren't bashing traveling nurses at all. If it wasn't for travel, that's what's out there. There's some local people working at these places, but that's what's out there. They stopped it for a while, and of course they became much shorter than they normally are. But that's who's coming to work. But we're not bashing them. What we need to know is why they so much willing to pay traveling nurses so much more when they have qualified nurses here. Now, if there's a shortage of qualified nurses here, that's one story. But a lot of people that even when you bring traveling nurses in, if you have people that are out there working hard every day, you need to do something with the adjustment of their pay, even if it's temporary, since they do have CARES money for it.
What I don't understand it, because at one time, and I know Stillman lost his nursing accreditation, but at one time at DCH they had people from the University of Alabama, they had Stillman College, and they had Sheldon State all in there at the same time. And because what you were speaking of earlier, Veronica, was the fact that they weren't competitive with their pay. When those people graduated, they weren't trying to stick around DCH. They weren't trying to go. They completely left town. Now you had 3 schools that was putting nurses in the hospital down here, and you couldn't know how to keep any of those students that was coming out.
Why can you not keep one hospital? There's only one major hospital in this area, and you have to go 50 miles. Why can't they keep anybody? Well, then they try to blame it on competition. Well, if they don't have competition, they can afford to pay people like that. Well, okay, if that's the way they look at it, they should look at that's part of the reason people still short. Because this is a problem pre-COVID.
And that's the reason why they can't. And we speaking of nurses, but if you're completely honest, people who work at DCH, they say DCH stands for don't come here. And I know because I used to work at DCH. The fact of the matter is, no person at DCH makes the money that they would go anywhere else and make. And that's everybody from, like I said, housekeeping to nutritional services, patient escort, the lab techs, everybody is making drastically lower. If they was to go to Birmingham years ago, I want to say around 98 to 2000, Georgia messed around and did something where they gave all their nurses this huge amount of money. And DCH almost lost all their nurses then because people started going to Georgia and Tennessee. I think those are 2 states that did it. So you would think that common sense to me would have said, okay, well, to keep our nurses here, we need to pay them more money. But no, what they did was they threw out what you just got through speaking of, Veronica, and that was a bonus, a sign-on bonus that they're going to give you one time.
Right. And then half the time you have to work 6 months to get it, and then a year to get the other half of it. Stuff like that. That's discouraging.
I remember that, but I also remember this. How you guys?
It was so different.
Not only with the nurses, Mike, remember they were, recruiting our teachers at a high rate, during that period. Because I had two of my cousins, 2 of my first cousins kids, and several others that around their age during that time period, they went to Georgia. These were teachers, though. They went to Georgia. And a couple of them went to Florida because they were offering them signing bonuses as teachers. And these were, our male, really needed African American teachers,
Well, I don't want to cut you off, Jesse. It wasn't necessarily just the signing bonuses. They pay range was a lot higher. And that's because both of them were the first 2 around here that had that education lottery. I used to live in Florida at that time when the education lottery was, and that education lottery paid for everything pertaining to those schools down there. And those schools, when I tell you, you going to school, elementary schools kind of look like they college courses. They had all kind of things down there. And because the lottery paid for it, and that was the reason why they were able to pay these teachers. And they, after a while, they couldn't take anymore. Georgia couldn't take no more. Florida couldn't take anymore because they had enough teachers and nurses at both of those places.
You're absolutely right. Because those 2 cousins of mine, they you know, they always bragged on how much better, you know, the environment was, the pay was.
And Georgia came right over here and set up in the Winfrey Hotel from time to time and recruited those nurses. Those teachers like crazy.
Yes, they did. And the only thing they really offered them was more money. They offered them more money, and then to go ahead on and hook them and pull them in the boat. They offered a sign-on bonus, but
and they, you know, you got young college kids, you know, coming out of college, you know, graduated, got student loans that they're paying for. Why wouldn't they? You know, that's a smart move. You know, and you know, you got better facilities and everything. You know, so I think they bragged on that stuff. I think trainers in those states that are opening up schools of their own that are also snatching up good teachers from this state. They're opening up private schools. They're opening up schools like the one out in Albert, right across from Bigwood.
School of the Arts.
Yeah, they open up schools like that in these areas, and these teachers and instructors. So they putting out this information, making sure these teachers that they know get it. And whether it be the next day over, which is Alabama, they get it.
Well, once again, the major thing about especially, and now it's all the surrounding states of Alabama. All the surrounding states of Alabama. All of them have a lottery in which so much money is earmarked for education and also medical. So
I just can't understand how it is that they keep voting these Republicans in office because they are not just bringing from families.
Well, they offer the lottery. They offer that lottery to the state of Alabama. But the one thing that they won't do that everybody in the state of Alabama wants them to do is earmark it for education, for Medicaid or medical. You know what I'm saying? And they will not do it. They keep trying to put it in a general fund so they can do what they want to with the money.
Reallocate it. Yep, just like she can. And see, there are a lot of different programs. They were like, well, Alabama needs to unionize for nurses. Well, okay, that's true. A lot of places they do better when a career force is unionized. But right now, this is Alabama.
Crazy.
Alabama more worried about telling a woman what to do with her body, but at the same time, they don't want to put mess. Alabama more worried about holding to their guns, but at the same time, they don't want to fight the pandemic. So it's a lot of things that they do. This just double as backwards. So they don't.
Yes, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
You know, they don't listen. They don't do what makes sense. And so she's reallocating $12.3 million. And there are programs that help. They have the state of Alabama, the state, when you have loans, if you work for 10 years full time in a civil service field, then they forgive your loans. So a lot of nurses, they have opportunities for loan forgiveness. Well, why can't some of these facilities, if they don't want to pay, offer some type of loan forgiveness? A lot of them offer loan forgiveness, but you have to have worked for them prior and then work a year or two, up to 5 years, depending on how much money you get. Now, maybe some of them will let people come in new who have pre-existing loans and say, well, obligate yourself to this much time and we'll pass some loans. Then maybe people will stop looking at the pay. But you got a lot of people out here that got $40,000 to $60,000 worth of loans. You have to offer something besides those 1 to 2 times $5, $10, $15,000 loans.
Let me ask you guys a question. Probably, whoever, I'm not a political expert. I know some things about politics. But Mike, you had touched on something, the lottery. And you said that it was pretty much not turned down because they didn't want to earmark, the funds. I'm just, how, in the political process, is that something that they ran on in their campaign and made it clear that that's what they weren't going to do? Because, unless we have the lottery, there's no money to earmarked yet unless it passes. So I'm
Well,
just curious how that went.
if you ever listen to when they proposed those lottery bills, the revenue that is supposed to come from the lottery, and they talking about it even now. We send over $700 million to surrounding states. That from Alabama. That's people from Alabama going to surrounding states playing lottery, in casinos. That's over $700 million. If that was to stay here in the state of Alabama, they wanted to put all their profit from that to go in a general fund. General fund meaning that they allocate it as they need to allocate it to go to whatever they need to allocate it for. But most of these lotteries were formed as education lotteries. When if you go down to Florida right now and you start seeing the billboards, it'll say education lottery, and then it'll have Powerball, and it'll have Lotto.
That's why they said we're paying for their children to get good education.
Absolutely.
Alabama chooses.
And you'll see that also in Georgia when you go to Georgia.
All the states, because when I was living in New York, even New York, they all draw money from the lottery ticket sales for education, even up there. So I don't know why is Alabama, think about it, why would they even make that sort of call to say, well, we just gonna put it in the general fund.
Jensen, I don't mean to stop you, man, but I got that. Let's be completely honest. We talking about the state of Alabama. Alabama is dead last in everything. They the last ones that wanted to.
I just want to put that out to the public. Give them something to think about. Listen to this whole situation. This state, the politicians of this state are so against funding education to better the schools that really need it. What is it that they don't want the inner city schools to catch up with the suburb schools? What is it? Because I don't know.
Is that Curtis? Also, that's number one factor. They don't want the current situation for as school separation, segregation, meaning education-wise.
Well,
they don't want that. They don't want that.
Yeah, that's why I put it out there.
But to bring it home is what Mike said just a few minutes ago. The casino. See, they were trying to. They know if they get the lottery, that gives way for people to bring casinos in. And also in that package that they were trying to put on for the vote to be voted on, people, they were asking for 9 casinos to be built in Alabama. But let me say this: the Indians down Moundville, they wanted 2 down there. But let me say this too, and they didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, but let me say this: they can write laws to prevent that. Because New York City is a big city, a pretty populated city. They have had the lottery forever. There are no casinos in New York. They have to go to New Jersey, to Atlantic City on the boardwalk to participate in casinos.
And there really ain't no casinos in Georgia either. It's not. You don't have to have a casino to have a lottery.
That is why they prevent it from happening.
But see, there's no reason for it, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, here's the thing. The situation is most of those casinos are on Indian reservations, and Native American reservations, and if the Native Americans decided they want to do something, it's not federally regulated, so they can do that. They're not under federal law.
But they can do that anyway on their land.
That's right. So that the casino thing, that's just because if you look at it right now, Birmingham Racecourse is called Birmingham Racecourse and Casino. How we have had several different. Green Track is considered a bingo hall, but it's really a casino. It's got a bunch of slot machines in it. You don't have the other games, and they want you to have the electronic games in there, but they don't want you to have like roulette tables and playing blackjack and stuff like that. But they have done that in several different places. Shorter was a place. Silver Star, not Silver Star. What's the one? Wind Creek is in Alabama, and Atmore. So those are actually casino type facilities. It ain't that they don't. I don't necessarily think that it's, they want to be able to regulate, and they want all the money that comes from these places to go to the state, so they can put it in a general fund, so they can, for most intents purposes, do what they want to do with it. One thing would be they'll probably try to build them super prisons that they've been wanting to build. They'll probably want to use it to redo the Capitol building like Cali wanted to do. It's going to be a whole lot of stuff that's not going to benefit the state as a whole, but certain people.
General funding, however they want to, taper it. Come on, we know, and without question, there's more to it than that, because as I'm saying, the Indian is for the general public listening. The Indian reservation is a total different zone. They can't regulate that. So the lottery has nothing to do with the Indians.
That's right.
If the Indians want to force the issue and put a casino on their reservation, they can get it done. They can get it done. Just probably the Indian groups here don't have the correct backing, or they probably aren't comfortable with the ones that want to bring it to them. So that may be something on within their tribal issues. I don't know. Just a speculation. But the lottery for education, there's something more to it. Like Veronica said, and you said, Mike, there's a control thing here. There's politicians. They just want to have control.
Absolutely. That's all it is to it. That's why they won't even mention putting a percentage of that in. They won't mention a percentage of for education, period. They won't. We're talking about $700 million.
They won't even write it in the bill. It's a general fund, and I'm not going to say no other state, but who has something that's general? Mississippi is education and infrastructure.
Yes.
So their roads, we're paying for them to get better roads. Other places is infrastructure. Other places is a combination. Alabama just wants to be a general fund. You know why? Same reason why when Trump first okayed that first COVID CARES money, they were down there trying to talk about building the Capitol. Now with the money some of the money that they have, they're talking about building new prisons. This new prison thing was well in the works well before COVID. So why should release money pay for you to build prison, to put our young men and women in prison?
They're always 100 on building prison in Alabama.
But if you think about what we're saying though, Jesse, is that if we had to pass that lottery and it's money started going in the general fund, the money that's allocated to stuff, now they got a free reign to allocate it to whatever they want to allocate it to. It ain't no such thing as well, it's supposed to go to this.
A more fair state, had it been a more fair state, I would be okay with general funding, because guess what? Some of that general funding could go to some of the long-term help or helping these organizations help some of these facilities recruit and pay nurses. Like I said, they recruiting and paying people, talking about helping with loans and stuff like that and this kind of stuff, but they're not doing what these nurses here want to hear, and that's why they short.
Veronica, when it comes to money and budget and things of that nature, I never will be comfortable with the word general in it. It always needs to be specified.
It needs to be earmarked for something. It's going to be whatever the lottery is going to be, with any kind of funds, so any kind of tax money funds, whether it's gambling money, it needs to be earmarked. And like I said, if it was a fair place, and we had proof that they were doing what they should do, it would be a different story. But we're talking about Alabama.
Oh no!
I think that, and even if they don't,
nobody need to have that money leeway where they can generalize it, because I have faith. I have faith in you.
I mean, the reason I say certain states is because you have to go on that state's history. They're not going to just up and all of a sudden start doing some crazy stuff. Because see, a general fund, to me, the reason I'm okay with it to a degree, it depends on where. Because some places are going to use it for whenever the need comes up, natural disasters, whatever you can't get from FEMA and the government, that state has a fund where we can get into this general fund. Natural disasters, recruitment of nurses, recruitment of police officers, recruitment of of whatever, teachers, whatever you may need. But general is very broad, and so it's going to be that some people are going to like it, some people are going to dislike it, because like I said, then she could also go into general and build that capital. And I don't think that's something that, and for Alabama, definitely not. I understand what you're saying, that's right. Nobody should, but I definitely wouldn't trust it in the hands of Alabama.
But guess what? Those cities that you're speaking about that do the right thing, I would promise you, they all have an earmark.
Yeah, they definitely do. That's what I'm saying. Like Florida.
But then, like you're saying, they percentage it off. So you can, like you said, they have an earmark for the important things, and then they probably just have something that just says general funds, which they should be. That way the state should be able to go in there and do things.
Yeah, I mean, if they put 75% toward education.
General funds. Like if you have a general fund in your organization, right? That's that's overall. But then you have a petty cash, and that's earmarked petty cash. Just in case all the financial establishments are shut down at the period, at that time of the day or the weekend or whatever, and you need emergency cash for something important, But you have to have budgets for everything, so that there's no discrepancies, or there's no favoritism or overlapping of how funding is distributed. That's the whole point. So when you're being openly,
but see, sometimes those just you're exactly right. But sometimes it elevate Tuscaloosa. Money gets some of these people, they around here re-earmarking. If that could be a word, they re-earmarking money. It's supposed to be $10 million going to the Hughes Center. Next thing you know, it's $7 million. Next thing you know, it's $3 million. Next thing you know, it's $500,000. What happens to the millions of dollars? So they re-earmark stuff.
When that politician, whoever was in office, and they have that legislative power to change that, then we say, well, what happened in the budget to X amount of dollars? And have them hold the fire to them to answer that question. Get them in, get them out.
Yeah. It really truly does depend on the place. It depends on the big money, in the city, in the town. That's why all politics people say don't focus on national, focus on all of them, national, state, federal, local, all of them, because all of them miss. Mm-hmm. And then just like elevate money has been taken here, put here, taken here, put here, and it was earmarked to do this, earmarked to do that. But the YMCA still missing out. And they're gonna keep missing out because they went from millions for the Houston down to under $1 million.
Let me say this. This is something that I heard you guys speaking on Tuesday about police and the budgets and how much when the police were getting paid all this overtime. I think Down had touched on that in the point where when the police are being asked to patrol the football games, they're getting paid all this overtime. And I think the question was, well, does the city budget, is it budgeted money from the city?
No, the question, because I posed the question, was we're going to add extra patrols to the University of Alabama on the Strip during home games. Why the University of Alabama is not contributing to the overtime, and they have their own police force.
Right. And then to the tune that when the officers from TPD work that, they get paid extra money.
No, they just get paid the overtime.
Get time and a half or something like that?
I'm not exactly sure. That's a Daryl question. Daryl, do they get paid time and a half or?
Yeah, it's time and a half.
Time and a half.
Time and a half. They get paid time and a half. And the city has to pay their officers, to patrol those areas. But all of a sudden, I made a comment on that. But when they have to patrol our neighborhoods, they don't have the budget for it. They can't put the officers out.
Well, that's what we were talking about, Jesse. Like when we were talking about a couple of bad neighborhoods in town here, we can't allow enough police officers to go into those neighborhoods. Like where is it, Daryl, that if there's a problem over there, you got to wait for backup to come before you can go in?
University Manor.
Yeah, University. Yeah, like You know what I'm saying? Why there maybe should be a constant patrol going around over there so we can see if we can't get the riffraff out of that particular area. But you know, they're not going to allocate any extra officers for that to do that.
So basically they're not funding. There's no funding for those areas, patrolling those areas. So as I said, my comment was, I guess they're defunding our community when it comes to policing. You know,
I saw that comment. Was that on AL.com or something?
No, that was on this one. That's
on here. Okay, I saw somebody say something about that on one of the Alabama newspapers Facebook.
I think somebody had it came up on Facebook because someone had commented on it, and it came up. It was on Facebook too because someone had commented on it. It popped up on my what's called. I said, "How to get on Facebook like this?" You know, when I commented on.
That's what I'm saying. Like when you commented that comment, where were you? What site were you on, or what page were you?
I was on the radio. I was on the program here when I made the comment. But then somebody on in one of the news organizations. That comment was placed on one of the news. I don't remember who did it, so that's why I said I thought it was you because I remember the exact word that defunding our neighborhood. Yeah, I didn't put it on what's called. I put it on here, and somebody may have copied and pasted it on there. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know if it was word for word. I didn't know people were using it on there, and I specifically remember that term being used. So that's why I was thinking. I was asking were you on there. It was either AL.com or TuscaloosaNews.com. One of them.
It might have been. I was there. Tuscaloosa News since it was done here in Tuscaloosa. Like I said, people probably had.
It could have. AL do. Yeah, it could be. People come in on from everywhere. Birmingham, Montgomery, Mobile. Out of state, they come in on Tuscaloosa and Alabama stuff. Yeah. So it was just funny because I was like, plenty of people said that on one of the news organizations, and sometimes they'll delete some of those comments so they'll wipe them out. But too many people had said it, so they couldn't even delete it. Because certain things they delete it. Yeah.
Yeah, I made the comment hoping that you guys would, pick up on it and comment on it, but nobody did. I was a little surprised nobody commented on it, on the show here. But it's all good. It's all good.
I can't read none of the comments, Jesse. So,
Yeah, I seen it. They were so deep into the nurses. So I just said we'll say that for another opportunity.
Yeah. But as far as this pandemic related, the nurses, they need to do better. They can do better. If they can afford to pay traveling nurses, and nobody is asking traveling nurses, you go into nurses, any medical field you go into, well, money shouldn't be the first thing on your mind anyway. But what we're saying is, you see all these other nurses coming, but all these nurses are coming in and making it paid by a hospital, and that hospital, they're just the funds that are regulated by the state that office nurses use and office nurses there. So we're talking about the hospital itself that has contracts with these agencies, and they can pay agencies. Why can't they increase the pay and support the locals better?
I'm gonna sit back and say this. I'm gonna say this, Veronica. This is how, just being real. You can't ask me to come in and go to work at my normal job every single day, and I make, let's say, a nice round number. I'm making $15 an hour, and you bring in somebody who's working right beside me, and in some of these cases, I got to show them everything, and this person is making $45 and $50 an hour. That's gonna make me feel a certain kind of way, because I'm like, well, why are we not making the same amount?
Get training, get traveling, unless they fresh out of school. 9 times out of 10, you're doing it for orientation to the facility because they know how to start RV, they know how to do medication, they know how to do nursing. That's why they got license.
Yeah, but even still, if we're doing the exact same job, why is there such a disparity in how much we're making? Like,
they were desperate, and they decided that they didn't have to do it locally, or locally they're not coming, they're not working, so we're going to go to the agencies. We're going to go get the traveling nurses. Well, when the people who you already have see that, if you're saying there's nobody coming, There's something wrong with your recruitment.
Yes.
I mean, it's a circle. If they're not coming, it's because you're not paying. It's working conditions or something. It's working conditions. You're not paying.
Let's say the whole entire thing is if they're not coming and the people that you have constantly leaving, that is a problem.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like it's no. That's why I don't get how anybody could have thought we were bashing traveling nurses. Because 9 times out of 10, if you get a nurse coming out of New York, she don't know what the hell going on in Tuscaloosa unless she got family here to tell her about it. You know, and some people say, you know, DCH has a poor reputation, but DCH is Alabama is one state out of 50. People have never heard, some people never heard of Tuscaloosa. Even if they say Roll Tide, they don't even realize, oh, that's in Tuscaloosa.
Nope.
Some people, not everybody has heard of Tuscaloosa. That's true. Or DCH.
Those don't can't even pronounce Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, they be Tuscaloosa.
They be they be sounding it out like they're little kids.
Some people are they're leaving because they're not getting paid. And some of the ones that leave, they traveling nurses coming in. So nobody's down in traveling nurses. Traveling nurses is coming helping to save who they can save. But the hospital itself, when they get on the news saying we need more nurses, well, the community's going to come back with, are you going to start increasing pay? Are you going to make better working conditions? Are you going to be more fair? And like I said, if they was doing this pre-pandemic, they would have traveling nurses when they would get so short. Y'all did this pre-pandemic. And we talk to these nurses that come from these other places, they still have to eat, so they go shop. They still learn, they meet people. They don't, most people don't know not to tell their salaries, but you got people that work in the hospital that know. You got people that some of the traveling nurses don't care because they already know that we thinking they're making a lot of money anyway. So they might not tell you exactly what it is, but if you tell them what your pay is, they may look at you and kind of be like, really? So, you know, people know that they have been able to pay them. And they've been, some of these hospitals pay without the help of whoever, you know, state organizations. They pay without those people's help. They pay because they have the money to pay. And then when they get caught up or if they're not as short, they'll stop using the nurses. Just like when the people stop requiring and asking for the vaccine as much. Well, the money, once it ran out, they didn't recruit any more traveling nurses. The numbers are going back up now, so now they're trying to do whatever it takes to get qualified nurses. And one of those things is going to be bring traveling nurses back in.
The thing with that is, I see, it just doesn't when you underpay the nurses according to, the national average. You underpay the nurses here, and when these nurses get in position, and then they find out that there's better paying jobs elsewhere, and then they start leaving. So now the hospital has forced themselves to have to hire, the traveling nurses because they basically, put these young nurses out the door, out of the state, because they don't want to pay them a reasonable amount of money. They want
right. And it's like Mike said, you're standing there working side by side with somebody. Doing the same thing. You may have been a nurse at DCH for 10 years. This traveling nurse may have been out of school for 3 years.
Yeah, you run the risk of throwing them around because the older folks in the school, at the job, they're at that low pay, like you said, and that's not fair. It's not fair for these people, to have to endure someone that has less experience, less time, that's making almost twice, almost 3 times the money per hour. It's just utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, and to me, it's like it's unfair whether it's a temporary thing or whether it's a permanent thing. Now, if you have an area or location where the people just aren't going to nursing school, that's a different story. You just don't have a lot of people just deciding they want to be in nursing. That's a different story. Okay, you're gonna probably have to definitely get traveling nurses in, but even then, the ones who are there increase their pay.
But once again, I got to go back to a few years ago when we had 3 schools here in Tuscaloosa that were sending potential nurses to DCH and to surrounding areas for clinicals. They had to do their clericals at DCH. We talking about Shelton State for a 2-year degree, and then we talking about. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they ran all over each other doing clinicals because all 3 schools was at that one hospital.
Yes, And when they got through their curriculum, get what happened? Then none of them stay at DCH. DCH could have offered every last one of them a job, and they would be like, "Oh no, sorry, chief. I'm going to Mississippi. I'm going to Tennessee."
I'm trying to remember my class at RN school. Some of us started at DCH because they were short and they needed us, and we, maybe had families, couldn't travel, didn't want to travel, didn't want to go out of the area. So they had people who may have had husbands, didn't need to make $45, $50 an hour. Or even in Birmingham, if you just get a regular job at UAB, you're not going to make $45, $50 an hour, but you're probably going to make $32, $35. So they were like, well, I'll sit down here and just work because my husband works. Those are the people that decided to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else went right up the road. Some people even went to Mississippi. Some people went to Tennessee. Some people went to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Some people went a lot of places.
Now, I worked at DCH, and of course, I wasn't a nurse. I was a PCA. But, I mean, I did several things at DCH. But the reason why I did it was back when I came out of high school in 94, DCH was considered a job because one of the best jobs because it gave you benefits. But they sure didn't pay you. That was the whole entire thing. And then all of a sudden, Mercedes opened up, and everything around with the factory started coming in, and finally people started realizing, hey, I don't make nothing over here. I'm leaving DCH. And after that, people started leaving DCH. I'm talking about Big Walk. They started leaving DCH, and DCH couldn't keep anybody else. People started coming to work at DCH, and I'm not even just talking about. When I was working on the floor at 5 North. People would come in 2 or 3 days. Nah, this ain't for me. They want you to do too much for.
Common sense will tell them see what they're thinking. They're always thinking keep the money for the big pockets. But they're thinking, okay, we don't have DCH is the only major hospital. We don't have any competition. We don't have to pay them anything.
Absolutely.
But what they keep failing to realize is that you'll have some that will stay, a few that will stay, but you will probably never have the amount of nurses that you need or the PCAs that you need. Because PCAs back in the day, when DCH was talking about $8 up the street, some people would drive to McCall and make $10.
Yep.
How long ago that was? Because I know $8. I was thinking they gave me $7.66. So, but of course, that was some years ago.
I'm just, it's just baffling.
And my PCA friends at the nursing home, they would get raised at 6 months, you get raised every year. When you got a cost of living raise, and you get another raise at about 3 years. Their raise kept them way above what DCH was.
And I tell you what, if DCH had did any of that, boy, I probably would have lost my mind at that time. Them just gave you a raise once a year, and then it's a percentage of a percentage. So I remember when they gave raises one time, I had a friend of mine who literally got a 1 cent raise.
Good Lord.
And that's right. That's my right hand. He got a 1 cent raise. He showed everybody that thing. He said, "Man, my raise is 1 cent."
Telling local people, it's almost like they're telling local people, we don't appreciate you. And I won't even say local people because like I was saying earlier, people come from Hale County, Green County, Pickens County, Sumter County, work the DCH. And to me, if you're in Sumter County, you might well try Meridian and see what they think. If you in Pickens County, you might well try Columbus and see what they think. Because Mississippi is right with us with a lot of times on the good things being low and the bad things being high. But one thing I will say is they learned that infrastructure is needed, education is needed, and they finally went ahead and passed that lottery.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those places over there, if you're driving 30 minutes to come to Norfolk to work in nurse home, why not just drive 30 minutes over to Columbus and make more? And it may not be a lot more, but if the drive's the same, I have to go over there and get the $2 more.
Yeah, but once again, everything comes back to money because you got to look at a lot of these big wigs get kickbacks from these contracting companies. Let's not be fooled by that, because I remember I used to work at Piper Wise, and Piper Wise used to hire a lot of temps. But guess who owned the temp company? The
half the time it was them. Yeah, that's why I said it was half the time it was them. Some of them had or either got some buy-in into it some way.
Right. You know,
Part owner, stock owner, something.
the brother-in-law owned the temp company. You know, it was like double dipping, 100. You know, and you know what I'm saying? It was crazy. And I found that to be a conflict of interest, but you know, that's what I thought at the time when I worked in Parkwell. I said, is that a conflict of interest? But then it was like, well, this is family owned, so whatever it is. I said, oh, okay, this is family owned. So
And you're gonna take care of family first. Nepotism.
nothing about that. So what makes you think it doesn't transition over to these hospitals and everything? These people
It's the hospitals more. People come up from New York, come down to Birmingham with the intention to buy a hospital for 2 or 3 years to turn money on, not the hospital, but these nursing homes, to turn money on them. Then they with the intention, the plan is to sell it. It's just everything is revolved around the money. Our medications, what the insurance will and won't pay. Like that guy that had the AIDS medication was charged $500 a pill. Yeah, they doing that stuff and they allowing some of them to get away with it.
and they locked them up too. That's what happened to him.
Yeah, and he didn't care. He didn't care because guess what? When it dies down, that meant by the time somebody really looked into it again, he'll probably be out and have been out for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, no, he lasted that long. They prosecuted him.
That's what I'm saying. But by the time but who's saying anything about that anymore? After that was done, he was in the news because it was going on. Next thing we don't know, that man gonna be out. That's just how that's the way those brothers help each other. He's gonna be out, and everybody's gonna be like, when he got out. But had it been somebody else doing it that looked like us, that would have been like a drug dealer.
Well,
but that's what he was doing.
Yeah, pharmaceuticals are nothing but drug dealers, and we all know that. But these nursing things, I just feel like the reason for it being because it doesn't make dollar sense when they operate a hospital that way, and they just don't offer, real aggressive.
Because it's all about money. It's all about money for those in the right position.
Right.
Before the pandemic took hold.
It's not even about, securing the position for those nurses. It's about securing the bag for those in the right position.
What now? Because I want to go ahead and make it. We talking about DCH. DCH ain't trying to secure anything for nobody other than DCH. When I say that before the pandemic really took hold, DCH was contracting out every department because in the long run it was cheaper for them to contract out and let other folks run their stuff than for them to have a board that will make sure that they stay in the black, if you would. So many years they'd say, hey, DCH didn't do as good as
DCH didn't even have a black board. For years they didn't even have a black board.
That's true. And they'll say stuff like, oh well, we were in the black, but we didn't make as much as we thought we was. And so we're not gonna be able to issue out any raises this year. They can't help but make money, Jesse. DCH is the only hospital for a bunch of miles. We got people in Greene County and Hale County that come to DCH. We got people.
How many times how long has it? Look at you got about 5 major hospitals in Jefferson County.
Yes.
Jefferson County geographically is smaller than Tuscaloosa.
Yes.
Population-wise, it's much larger, so they do need to find hospitals. But Tuscaloosa needs at least another major regional hospital. But
actually, Veronica, if I'm not mistaken, Jefferson County losing people.
Jefferson County geographically is smaller, but population-wise.
No, I'm saying they losing people actually to Huntsville. A lot of people moving up to Huntsville.
But when you compare Jefferson County to Tuscaloosa, it's what I'm saying. They have 5 hospitals.
Yeah.
They say they're paying better due to competition. Okay, so DCH down here, that is one of the major reasons why they don't like to pay people. They don't choose to pay people. They have no competition. And every time a hospital looks into trying to come into this area, those big wigs, old school money, and this Chamber of Commerce shuts it down.
Absolutely.
Along with DCH.
Absolutely.
But listen to what we're talking about here, because we all are pretty intelligent. people talking. Listen to it. It's all going right back to what? The dollar. Now, there is no way in the world there's the one organization that is pandemic proof, recession proof, and all other things proof, and that is medical. You get into the medical field, you will always gonna have a upside. Look at the pandemic. There's more people in the hospital during this pandemic than they ever had during their whole doggone the history of the doggone hospital. You know, so that's not affecting business. The pandemic isn't affecting business at a hospital, nor did the recession affect business at a hospital. So there aren't any ways they can say that they're losing anything because medical is always a needed field. So when it comes to these people contracting the nurses the way they're doing, somebody is getting a kickback because they can pay the nurses a decent salary where they don't have to run off to another state to get paid, but they choose not to. Therefore,
it's the type of people it's the people on top that's getting it. Because my thing is, if you paying it, whatever your deal or your negotiations are with these agencies, people say it's cheaper. It's not always cheaper for everybody to use agencies. Sometimes it's cheaper depending on what company it is. But like when it comes to medical, it's not really cheaper for them to use agencies. Not when they bucking out. The agency is paying it. Guess what? Agencies ain't poor. They all in their stuff to get their money together. And it's pats on the back and it's nepotism, family and friends. Because it doesn't matter what the agency is, because supplying the nurses from.
Yeah, but Veronica, it's like this. Even with like temp services, right? Because even with the temps that come into Mercedes, when those temps come out there in Mercedes, right? I'm full time there before I retired. When they come out there at Mercedes, yeah, they were making I think like 15 when I came out there. I think they were making maybe about $15, maybe $16 an hour. But guess what? The temp service was getting the whole brunt of when I got out there, the whole 25 and change. So whatever that was, that 25, the temp is going to get $10 an hour of their salary.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So
that's how they work it out. Yeah.
Exactly. For the temp service. You see what I'm saying? And so
that's how they've always been.
And I said the reason why they say it's cheaper is because they don't have to pay the insurance.
Wait a minute. Listen. But guess what? They paying the contractors more than that. And the contractor service got to get something.
Yeah, they paying them more than that. But what they tell people is that they're looking at the long term. They're responsible for drug testing. They're responsible for workers' comp. We don't have to do anything. Once we work this deal out with them. So it's easy on them. Now, when people don't show up to work and all that kind of stuff, yeah, it's first thing you have to deal with. But as far as that pay goes, yeah, it's easy on them. And they get part of that, or about a third of what the person would be making, should be making. And they're getting money, the agencies is getting money through the contractual agreement.
Well, this is the thing about the plant workers that are coming in those circumstances. This is how that works. No, they don't get medical from us. They don't get patient that we get. But guess what? The company still has to pay them at market hourly wage. So at the end of the day, the temp service is going to get all of their money that they are supposed to get. Now, yeah.
And they're going to get a little bit more because if they do offer insurance, like I said, y'all don't pay it. They do offer them insurance if they're full time, but guess how much is that?
Their insurance costs a lot of money to come out of their shit.
Yeah, because that insurance is when the agencies offer insurance. It's expensive.
Because they don't cover anything. That's where Mercedes saved the money at, Jesse. They save the money off the benefit package that they offer you.
Yeah, that's what they say. Money off is the benefit. True enough. You know, but the thing about it is the same system with these nurses. That money, I don't care if they are paying these nurses $5,000 a week. I promise it's probably the real price is probably about $7,000 a week. But the contractors are getting the $2,000. the
But
workers.
that money is benefiting the high man, and it's not even the traveling nurses. Yeah, they getting way more benefit than the regular staff nurses, but the money is the high man.
Yeah, but see, when those nurses come in at that pay rate, they'll just tell them, look, you just be responsible for your own insurance. You can afford it now.
And so that's hence you get the walkout that you get at UAB.
There you go. But if they turn that around and they make it more competitive wages instead of paying all this money out to one person, where they can distribute that much money to about 10, 15 nurses and satisfy them, they'll be in a better situation, you know, and they'll still say.
But guess what? But guess who won't be in a better situation? The top dogs.
There you go. See that?
Like I said, from what I understand, and I was looking at the news, I paid a close attention to it. The nurses in the whole state, the entire state, but you know, they really focusing on those nurses in Birmingham because they did the walkout. They only want 10% more than a 10% raise. So that means that if you making, No, it's not. So that means if you making $35 an hour, they asking for $3.50 more an hour.
Give it to them.
That's what I'm saying. $3.50 more an hour for the people that you already got, as opposed to the $20 more that you're paying these contractors now.
Look, these nurses, these people are up 12 and 16 hours a day. Some of them run, I understand, sometimes they actually run doubles, and some of them be in there like 18, 20 hours straight working. I mean, come on. You know, appreciate them, you know, at the end of the day. Appreciate the nurses, because you never know when you have to go in the hospital. And I'm telling you from experience, when I went to the hospital and I had to stay in there, I was in there for 2 months at UAB. And I appreciate the great service that I had got. I had some Florence Nightingale type nurses. I may have one nurse that had little rudeness to her. But guess what? When I expressed that to the head nurse, I didn't have that problem ever again. So they earn their money, and they do come in and they do see about you, and they show concern, you know, on every level, and I appreciate it every minute that I was.
But Jesse, having said all that, you said you was in UAB. Do you know that at this particular moment in time, there are a lot of people right now that say, if I can make it to UAB, take me there instead of the DCH.
Oh yes, I hear it all the time. I made it perfectly clear. I don't want to do DCH at all. Take me to UAB immediately. I don't want to be in UAB. I mean DCH, absolutely not. You know, I made that clear. You know, and I think
that should say something though. If you're willing to put up with any kind of suffering to get 45, 50 minutes away to another hospital, when you got one that's 5 or 10 minutes away, but you just don't want to deal with it. You know what the outcomes with doing that. That means that there's some things that need to change at that particular hospital.
I spent two nights at DCH, and I'm here to tell you, I did not get at no level the kind of service and treatment that I got at UAB for 2 months. I didn't get that at one moment there, you know, because they weren't considerate and consistent in what they're supposed to do. You know, when I say Florence Nightingale mentality, I mean, I meant that at UAB. I didn't get that here, you know, and this was prior to me having to have a long stay. So that's why I had said, if I ever have to, you know, go to the hospital, you know, I'm going to just take you to UAB. You know, even people that was coming to visit me there, it's like, man, you know, hey, you should have went to UAB. And I said, yeah, I don't know anything about UAB. So, but now y'all telling me, I think that's probably why.
And not to say that they should ever be rude or anything, Jesse, but the one thing that I know, because my wife, she worked at DCH for 20 years. She worked in nutritional services, but she knew a lot of nurses and stuff like that. But the one thing that you see is that them nurses and them PCAs are so overworked. They shift is 12 hours. They don't work 8-hour shift. They work a 12-hour shift, and some of them have to work. They won't let them make them work a double. I don't think, but they'll have to work a shift and a half.
A lot of nurses work 16 hours though.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about it. Once you've been there for 12 hours, that's a shift and a half. So nurses work 7 to 3, 3 to 11 all the time. 3 to 11, 11 to 7. The hardest shift to a lot of people would be to come in and nights work 7 to 7, 7 to 3, but that has been done. But a lot of times the regular shift is 7 to 7. But because we got to think about not just how some nurses have second jobs.
Yes.
So that just lets you know what the pay scale is here. The state of Alabama, the average RN is $60,000. That boils down to $1,250 a week. So that's the average. Not saying all of them, depends on what type of degree you got, what your position is, how long you've been there. So I say you average $60,000 for somebody maybe out of school to 3-5 years for RNs. Last I checked was $60,000. If you break that down by 12 months, that's $5,000 a month. By 4 weeks in a month, that's $1,250. And that may be gross. I don't even know. When they figure that may be gross. So then, like I said, a lot of nurses are frustrated. They looking over at somebody right across the room who flipping a page with them, getting $5,000 before they get cut.
But you want
and they're not thinking about where all the big money going, for real. So that's what their biggest issue is trying to keep the nurses happy. They need to have a conversation like Biden said and like Obama said when he was in office. Pay your part of your taxes. You know, the working class is becoming the poor and the rich because the middle class is just becoming poor.
Yeah,
that plays a big part in it, along with other things as well.
You know, it's all about that almighty dollar. It goes back to that lottery and that general fund thing that we touch base on, situation we touch base on. Yes, that's a power, and that's trying to create power, self-power moves, and how you dictate funds. No, we don't need to dictate funds. We need funds to be allocated so that they can be reached out and touched for their purpose. You know,
and it still all goes back to politics because we're in a red state, and Alabama's going to keep electing those same type of politicians that's doing what's going on, handling things the way they're being handled now.
The only way
they vote against their own best interest. You got these people around here. You look at them and you know, okay, you vote with Trump. You want Trump to run. You really look at somebody. I would do this. I would do that. But I would probably really wouldn't break bread with you if she saw you and seen where you was living at. But you voting against your best interest because you want to be read. You want to keep your guns. You want to tell people what to do with themselves, but you don't want to tell you what to do.
Yeah, nobody.
It's not even. They're voting for people with money, and they don't even have the money because they're just worried about how much can they do what they want to do and stop somebody else, the people who they feel are Lord in them, stop them from doing what they want to do.
I'd like to also add on that they vote for the people with the old money.
Yeah, but you gotta know that all that mentality was created during the colonial period. You know, that mentality has been created during the colonial times. And when the wealthy and rich wanted to have power and influence, they made the poor and the ones without, the have-nots, feel as they were a part of this wealthy gain political power. And that passed on to generation to generation to generation. And that's why we're in this situation now. People don't vote for their class. You know, they vote for an ideology. You know?
Exactly.
Well, first of all, let's be completely honest, and Daryl can tell you as well as anybody, when you're talking about running for a public office, how much money it just takes just to make sure everybody know that you're running.
Well, it takes money.
It takes money. Yeah, that's why you have to go out and you have to actually raise money to let folks know that you even running for office.
Yeah, that you exist. You know what I'm saying? And it takes money because you got to travel. You got to have, your posters. You got to have some TV time. It takes money, absolutely. But guess what? It takes a lot of footwork. Now, there's a lot of a campaign to be done that just requires a lot of footwork.
And you got to have a whole entire team. And Daryl, you still on the line? he's actually working right now. So they got a concert going on at the amphitheater. He had to work it. But he would be able to let y'all know. He and Sonya, they both had to go through. Daryl ran for county commissioner, and just based on how he had to do it, going through a pandemic time, he couldn't get on the TV. He couldn't do a lot, and he tried to do a grassroots type thing. I don't think a lot of people even knew that Daryl was running.
I didn't even know he was running.
You know, so that was a huge thing. You know what I'm saying? Money is needed. When we had the mayoral race this year, you had 3 candidates. 2 of them had a lot of money, and one of them didn't. You knew about you knew about 2 of them, and the third one you didn't know much about.
This is true, and then you're going through a pandemic, so you can't really do a lot of footwork because of the pandemic. It ain't like you can go visit churches and get your face out there, and because the pandemic was going on, so there's no congregation to speak to, which is what a lot of politicians do, during the campaigning time. It's like
you can just go knock on people's doors because people weren't opening doors. Yeah.
It's difficult, and that's understandable. But I'm gonna say this part. I had saw where they indicted those 2 district attorneys in Georgia behind Ahmaud Arbery's murder. And they indicted them. Which we knew there was something going on because these cats is moving around, without being arrested after they killed the young man. So they found out. They put the Alabama Bureau of Investigation on them, and they investigated it thoroughly. They found out that the district attorney was friends with the father because he worked for her. So she told the police not to arrest them, which they try to figure out. Well, how is it that she had the authority to tell, the sheriff not to arrest these people when they don't work for her? So, but the person.
And then they released the phone call.
Right, they released them because they talked. The murderer and her had a conversation prior to that. Then, when she passed it on to, he also was called by his son who worked for her also to tell him, hey, not to arrest. So it was a whole lot going on. Guess what? When the election came up again, they voted her the heck out, and then she's being indicted, and now they want to thinking about indicting the other one for the same thing. So you get people in, you get people out. First and foremost, you get people in that are right. People keep on voting for ideology purposes instead of for realistic issues. Then we're gonna always be in this situation, this merry-go-round of getting.
And right now, if people don't start putting their foot down on what's going on in the United States right now with these voter registration and voter laws that they're passing, a lot of people like are sitting around here arguing about stuff that's not important when it's almost to the point where we won't be able to vote. Or you'll have poll workers sitting there at their discretion in red-run states anywhere. Some people say, well, they red states anyway, so they're going to become the president. They're going to be, okay, that's true. But it's still very important, because had it not been for the red state of Georgia turning blue, we wouldn't have Oscar and Warnock now.
That's right.
So it's still very important. Texas is making rules where, y'all know we go to vote. Some of these people, some of them are very educated, retired. Some of them never had a job. It's the first thing they ever done. They're giving them more authority to read your ballot.
Oh yeah, and they.
So some people just don't know that we're on the verge of losing the right to vote.
Oh yeah,
they're telling them how many marbles is in a jar again, because they around here worried about the wrong thing.
Yeah, they power.
So just like that election was the biggest turnout. So millions. I mean, it was more than Trump and Clinton got together. Yeah. The turnout, because we were ready to get rid of somebody. So people, when you have somebody like Trump to serve, but you shouldn't have to do that because they should have known off the top, people will turn out. And they know that now due to this past election. So now the only thing they can do is go and try to make all these other laws. And I do have a gripe with the Biden administration and with our own Democratic Party, because as a president, people know that he can't only do so much and executive orders can only go so far. Our Congress we have one right now, Joe Manchin, that may as well be a Republican. And then the other one, the woman, Christian Sinema, they might as well be. I'm sitting here wondering, so what were y'all doing in the Trump years? Because y'all had to be voting behind him with everything he went with. Because y'all sitting here holding up progress that Biden could have made. A whole lot of progress, money on the table right now, and Manchin sitting here saying he thinks it should be below 3. Well, at first it was well above 3. He griped about that. Now they're talking about 3.5 or whatever treaty. He's griping about that. Like, are you a Democrat or not? And if you're serving West Virginia, there are a lot of people in West Virginia that protested in his local office. So everybody in West Virginia, you sit up there, you catering to these Republicans, to these PAC and these donors. He even had a thing on his vote or something for a bunch of Republicans. Mitch McConnell sitting up there with this turd grin on his face because these two Democrats are being assholes. But when Trump was in office, what did all of them do? Even the ones that bashed him, they stuck together and they voted together and they got what they wanted.
That's the problem.
We sitting up here with a slim majority on both houses, and we have a president. Though it's slim, there are a lot of things that we gonna have to be bipartisan with because it's so slim. But there are a lot of things that could have been passed that can't get passed because of two, Manchin and Sinema.
Yep, and that is a shame.
Mm-hmm.
But 2022, when they go to that midterm, they vote them out. That's the only. You got to get them out of there.
And it's like, it's still nerve because you know people want them out, but then they changing all these laws and talking about who has the right to throw something out. If the poll worker doesn't do it, if the Secretary of State decides that he thinks that, oh, well, something wasn't done right, he can just come out. If a person won that particular seat or county, well, he can just come out and say, well, no, that's going to avoid that he's not the winner. Basically declaring who he wants to be the winner. Mm-hmm. And so that if that was in place last time when Trump made those calls to Georgia, that man, if he didn't have any integrity, he would have did that.
Yep.
But now they got laws making it easy to do that.
Yep.
So once they have a law making it easy for a Secretary of State to decide, oh, well, you know what, we ain't gonna do what the people want. Then it's like, why are we having elections?
Crazy.
And a lot of people don't realize that that's going on. They're not saying anything. And I'm like, if you can't, we can't do anything, but we can be loud about it.
Well, you know, Veronica, let's be honest. A lot of people don't realize, and they don't want to realize, because I can't tell you how many people I know right now they'll sit back and tell me that they don't watch or listen to the news. Any news that they get strictly off social media. So
there's so much hearsay stuff going around.
Absolutely.
And you want to know something? There's so many people that get their information about COVID and the vaccine and all that. They get it on social media. And I've been questioning. I said, is any of your information you telling me that you want to debate with me about? Is it coming from a scientist? What you go? Is this stuff you just reading from offline? That's online. I be going online, and I said, are you getting it from a legitimate,
And some of them have the nerve to tell you need to check your source.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm getting it from. I'm very specific.
Like I'm gonna tell you today.
Deal with me with specifics. Don't generalize anything with me because I don't get very much when, especially things that are contained of very importance. I need you to be specific, because that's the way I communicate. So I asked the question, is it from a specific scientist, doctor, medical, that's in the medical field? But I just seen it on there, and it was a doctor that was talking. I said, but are you talking about the correct doctors? Because there are some quacks out there that got a lot of bull crap of the right. You got to be careful. It's like, you hear on Fox, if you listen to Fox, they'll say one thing this week, then they'll cover their behind and change it up next week. You got to be careful. You got people on the CDC, and you got the people that are the ones in the Hopkins that does these different bring these different results concerning the pandemic and COVID. So I just be wanting to know, and it's curious to me And I hear from you guys, apparently I'm not the only one that's dealing with subjects that do that. You know, they want to argue with you why they don't want to get the vaccine and this and it's always I don't know what's in it. What do you know what's in? Tell me.
Well, like I said, today President Biden got up there and he gave an address today pertaining to
an ultimatum. That's what he gave.
I would say that, but I think he made it so easy. He took away a lot of the.
Did you listen to it, Mike? Because I was at an appointment. I didn't get.
I listened to the majority of it. He took away some of the excuses that some people had. That's one thing. Basically, any Fortune 500 company or any company that had more than 100 people, they're requiring an executive order is being signed that they have to have everybody to be vaccinated, or they have to have a negative COVID report, negative test every. Is it every week or is it was every day?
No, it was more than every week.
I think it was every week. And also, if you're going to get your COVID vaccination, or you're going to take a family member to get a COVID vaccination, you cannot be doc pay. They got to pay you still to do that. So that's an excuse that a lot of people was having. They're like, I can't take off because I can't get off. They have to let you off to do that, and they have to pay you to do that also. So I thought that was real great.
But look, check this out. A lot of those people that were saying that, you know, I don't believe them. One, I don't believe that though they can't take off and get that. No, you can take off and get yourself vaccinated. You can take off and have for a doctor's appointment. You can take off work.
But you know what, Jesse? Them same people that'll tell you that they can't go vote because they can't get off.
Right. That's bull crap. Yeah. It's like even with Uber. Uber has given nationwide free Uber rides to and from your vaccination. You don't have no excuse or even how to get there. You make an appointment. Uber will come pick you up, take you to get your vaccination, and then take you back home free of charge.
It's like this one lady was saying, some people are still afraid. And I do, now some people, to a percentage, I do believe some people truly are afraid. Because, you know, it is what it is. They truly are afraid. But the people who are sitting here, you're afraid, but then you spread misinformation to everybody else because you want to have backup with you when you don't go get it. So you're hurting the pandemic. If you're afraid and you're truly afraid, then that's fine, that's you. But don't be spreading misinformation.
Don't be trying to recruit people with lies
because they're afraid.
Yeah, so you want to have company. It's like misery wants company. You know, and people that are in that situation, in that mindset, that are so anti-vaccine because they want to say, I don't know what's in it. You didn't know what was in the measles vaccine. You didn't know what was in the tetanus vaccine, but you got them.
But they're full of tattoos. It's like people say, you don't know what's in there.
Who was on that needle when they tattooed you?
I'm gonna go as far as to say you don't know what's in Tylenol. Y'all know it's acetaminophen, but do y'all know what that is? Because I can't even hardly say the word. You know what I'm saying? What's in ibuprofen?
I made that very common statement to the guy who was at the barbershop. I said, man, you don't even know what's in Tylenol or Aleve, but you'll take that if you got a headache. And he just stood there. Well, you know, I can get that over the counter. What difference? You don't know what's in it, but you want to know.
You just about can get the vaccination over the counter. It's free.
Exactly. I'm gonna say this too. I guarantee you, if their faces broke out, their arms broke out, with scabs and scales and bumps all over, I guarantee you couldn't get in line to get that vaccination. I promise you that. But since they don't see it, it seems to be not a real alarming issue to America.
Well, see, and this is the thing, Jesse. Earlier today, Veronica put up the COVID report, and the numbers went down slightly. Well, Monday was Labor Day. people were out and about this weekend. There were so many folks at them football games, and I didn't see many masks. But let's be weary, because the folks like Daryl kind of said, well, the numbers went down a little bit, and I think that's a false bravado, because in a minute, I think it's going up. I think that it's going up drastically because people was out and about. They're not going to stop, because we got a home game this weekend. It's going to be packed around here in Tuscaloosa right now.
Mike, guess what? Another argument a guy had for me. He goes, well, if you look at the report, the flu and all that is down. So what you saying about the vaccine? I said, are you serious, man? Because last year, contraction of flu was down. I said, do you not know people were at home?
And they was wearing masks?
And they were wearing masks.
And they were sanitizing everything?
I told man, go sit down somewhere. Man, because you ain't making no sense. Once again, you one of those. I said, listen, bro, you one of those, man, but you really need to get a handle on your information. I don't know where you're getting it from, but you really talking to the wrong guy. Talking about, the flu contraction and all that was down from last year. Of course, people were at home and were wearing masks like crazy. Nobody was around each other.
Things were closing early. They were putting in the mandates. Things had to close. You could only have so many people in the facility. You wasn't having concerts. You wasn't having parties. But then you get people like Busta Rhymes that go on the stage talking about, how you gonna tell me what to do with my body? Oh man, you ain't had a hit in how many years? Just go and say you need the money. You needed a concert. But that's what that was all about. They got people saying stuff like that in our community.
But you want to know something? I don't even think it was that, because I'm gonna say Busta Rhymes is pretty wealthy, pretty rich dude. Now, being from New York, he banked. Now he banked. Now I would say
no, he ain't. Busta Rhymes had to file bankruptcy. No, he ain't.
Yeah, I was about to say he might be banked, but Busta Rhymes is like a lot of these other old artists that come up out there and do these shows in Las Vegas. Britney Spears is banked. Mariah Carey banked. But sometimes they got, they got things that they need to do too that they don't want to touch their money. Right, they don't want to touch their money. So they come out, they do a concert here, there, and they be through. Mary J. Blige, they'll do a little mini tour, and they'll be through. But a lot of times, those people are well established. They ain't really needing no money like we would. But for their way of living now, they'd rather go out and do those few concerts and get that other extra money and go sit down. So, but what my thing is, what I don't like about it is, he may just be doing it for fun, or he may need a little extra money, but why would you get on stage talking about trying to give a political speech about masks? Yeah. We never heard anything from you about politics, never heard anything from you about really any kind of social. I'm not saying he hasn't, but he's not one of those that I've seen get involved in any kind of social.
Well, during our last administration, he did come out and call President Trump Agent Orange. That's about it. But but when you start getting that, I don't think that a lot of these people are informed as they try to make themselves out to be. When it's all said and done, the reason why the president had to step in today with everything is because we dealing with a Delta variant right now. You got the Lambda variant, and you also now got the Mu variant. These are two different variants that they like. Okay,
don't are running their states like nothing is going on, but then they're constantly asking the federal government to send in military to help them with these hospital beds that they can't get nurses. When they can't get nurses in certain areas, they ask them for the federal government to send in the military, medical military. But they aren't doing anything. They're not closing things. You don't have to shut the city down to close things early. You can put back curfews in place. You can do that until when you have a surge. To me, it would make common sense to do it when there's a surge, when things get under control, open back up again, because they're going to do that. They're not going to keep everything closed early or closed down forever. But when there are surges, why not common sense just say, okay, from whatever date to whatever date, like these schools keep doing. These schools keep talking about extending 2 or 3 weeks. That don't make sense. Why not just say from a substantial amount of time? We know flu season coming is about to get warm. And they kept saying, well, COVID, when it gets warm, it'll go away. COVID doesn't care what temperature
it sure didn't, because it cut up in July and August.
Yeah, it didn't care what the temperature was. So it's still a lot of stuff that the experts are learning. So that's why it makes you so mad. We see these everyday people that don't want to listen to scientists come up with their own brilliant ideas and start passing these theories around.
Well, y'all,
Because we can only go on common sense, but sometimes common sense don't sound so common. But because when the common sense only coincides with what you want to do, I didn't want to take no vaccine, but I'm still not going to, say, well, you know what? I'm going to listen to the only things that's going the way I'm thinking. I'm thinking this might be in it. I don't know what's in it. I know that they've been studied for years, but this is the first time I use it. But I also had to think, well, look at what's going on in the hospitals, and this is a global pandemic. One the size of hadn't had this size since 1918. So you have to weigh things out. But you have some people, no matter how much you tell them something, they're going to go with what they're already leaning towards anyway, their fear or what they believe.
All they need is someone to tap into that fear just a little bit.
Right.
That's it, to lean them.
And then it blows up. Yep.
And it was a total of 14 people on Facebook. They got over 80 million people. I think that's it. There 80 million people.
That's what they said, 80 million.
They won't take it, and it's based off a lot of that. Now you got some people that are not doing it because of religious things. I get that. You know what I'm saying? If your religion say that you're not supposed to do this, I can't do nothing but respect that. But based off fear.
People who have always stood against vaccines due to their religion. Now, there's those people who have, like I said, who've always stood against it due to their religion. You can't. What else? What can you say? Because 9 times out of 10, those people will be masked up. But these ones who don't want to take it, don't want to wear no mask, but then don't want to come and hover all over you.
But at what point did that become their religion?
So that's what I'm saying. If you're looking, they have a history of not taking vaccines, or a certain group of people. I don't know if it's the Mormons or whoever. Not Mormons. It's
Muslims. I think the Muslims don't take it. And Jehovah's Witnesses.
Another group that they don't take vaccines. So if it's somebody like that, or if it's somebody who has a history of refusal due to religion, that's one thing. But how will we know that? So that's what they'll just sit there. Some people are just using it as an excuse.
Yeah, that's fine. If that's a legitimate reason, that they don't want to take the vaccine, because you do have people that have been that way all their lives, because that's culture, and how their tradition within their community. So that's not even to be argued about. But when you have those who just come up with I'm not going to take it because of my religion, because that's a easy way out. No, that's BS.
Yeah, they had somewhere this chiropractor. He's a doctor, so he's giving these people excuses to go to school without masks, lined up out the door. And I'm like, now even though, and the governor didn't care because he don't want them wearing masks anyway. But I'm talking about, what about the health officials? Even though there's a governor, there's still administrations. You have the health officials of their state. So why is this chiropractor? He was the one. So a lot of times you do have quacks. So yeah, he's a doctor, he's a chiropractor, but apparently regular general practitioners wasn't handing out those excuses. He was sitting up there handing out excuses, and they had them printed, just sign it, handing out excuses so that their kids wouldn't have to wear masks to school.
Yeah,
and it's affecting a lot of kids. That's just beyond me. That's so over my head. I don't know. These parents, and then what DeSantis is saying, that he doesn't think it should be up to them, it should be up to the parent. Okay. Well, some of these parents are buck wild crazy, just like he is.
Mm-hmm.
And those people know. These people that have these that are doing the things like they did, that Trump just made a lot of them more comfortable. Most of these men, they had these mind, the frame of mind that they have. They had it before Trump was ever in office. He just made it cool and classy to be belligerent and ugly and ignorant with it.
All he did was just.
He honestly exposed it. Kind of a good thing. He exposed them.
Yeah, that's all he did. He just told everybody it's all right to do it, because I'm here and I say it's good.
It's like they say, you rather know the racist than to not know he's a racist. I got somebody talking to me, I'd rather know that they're a racist than to not know and have them cheesing in my face. So what he's done is allowed them to feel more comfortable, and it should be opening up people's eyes. But there's not enough people out here protesting right now for those women's rights, these voter registrations rights. They doing a wing dang doodle, and then even up to the Supreme Court. And when Justice Roberts sides with Democrats, the liberal side of the Supreme Court, I say liberal side because they really not supposed to matter. But when you get Republicans putting them in, they Republicans. You get Democrats putting them in, they Democrats. He's the only one of the conservatives I ain't gonna say he's the only one that's ever, but usually he will vote with them on some of the things because he's not looking at it as what he thinks. He's looking at it as society. And any politician should look at it as society, because everybody's not going to get what they want. But when you get what the majority of the people, then that's what you should go with. And that's why I don't understand Manchin. If you serve in West Virginia as a conservative area, why don't you just become a Republican so we can know what we're dealing with? We know what we're dealing with now, but you look like a turncoat. Everything this Democratic president has tried to do, you got your foot in it some kind of way. Like you want your face to be like you wish you had been president. Because if you're a Republican, you represent a conservative part of Virginia, West Virginia. Go ahead and just be a Republican. If you're trying to keep your job and keep that seat, go ahead and be a Republican. And some of them don't even give a darn about retiring. Y'all 74, 75 years old. You don't want to travel. You got bukus of money. You want to go back and forth, controlling people's lives.
They like power. It ain't even about money. It's about power.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what it is. Because at that age, who don't want to sit back and relax, fish, chill, do whatever? Work if you want to, but the work that it takes to be a congressman
or a governor,
really don't take no work. Half the time, I'm home or they on a break.
I'm on the same thing with Kay Ivey. I think that she need to go and sit down.
If you look at how Trump, how he transitioned to what he became when he first got in office, he was like, "Oh, I'm not ready for this." But I told him, I said, "Wait till he figure it out." That's why he brought his own lawyers in there, into the White House, so that they can dig deep into everything he can do and get away with. And he had them, and they schooled him. And once he figured it out, he started pushing pushing everything to the limit on what he can get away with. There ain't no telling what all he did that we do know about, because there's a lot of stuff he did, of course, we don't know that he did.
And he felt so defeated. He felt so defeated at first. He would have these stuff when he would talk. It was like, I don't know, I'll be old by then. I don't know if I'm gonna run. But see, he's becoming confident. And the reason he's becoming more confident, becoming confident again. He's having these rallies because he sees what his Republican brethren are doing for him when it comes to these voter registration laws and these voter laws. If I can't win it, we'll just take it. And next time we'll have the right people in place to take it.
That's right. He's power hungry.
That's right. These people better wake up and start fighting against these what's going on, because they're making these rules. Like I said, Texas is just acting a plum fool. When it comes to women's rights, voters' rights, all kind of stuff, they acting a plum fool.
Everything.
And that governor down there, he's so delusional. We thought Bush was crazy. Oh, Bush wasn't evil. He ain't nothing like that thing they got down there now. That fool said that he gonna get rid of all the rapists. So in other words, if they're rapists a crime, so we'll get the rapists. So do you really think that you're going to get every rapist so nobody will be trying to have an abortion now because they weren't raped? Some people are raped by family members. Some people are raped by strangers. That fool deflected the conversation of giving the woman the right to choose to saying, "Oh, we're going to arrest all the rapists." If that's the case, you should have been done that by now.
Yeah.
I mean, who said something that stupid?
It was a ridiculous statement to make, first off. It was just utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, we talk about a ridiculous man.
It told what his mindset is. It told everything about him. He made that statement. He doesn't care about the women's rights. He doesn't care about that. All he cares about is retaining power. It ain't about money. It ain't about anything else. It's about retaining power. And all he's doing is pushing to the abortion issue. He's pushing that to the conservatives out there, and those will have those big churches and all that, those evangelists that are backing him. That's the crowd he's pushing it to. But the thing about Texas is becoming more and more diverse. So that's why.
And that's why they're putting all these rules in place
over there, because it's so diverse now. He's afraid this upcoming election for him, he will lose. He's probably gonna lose anyway. You know what I'm saying?
But he's gained his confidence because of his governor brethren that creating in their Congress creating all these laws. And see, all you're gonna do is start turning women out. You're gonna start turning minorities out, because they're gonna see right now they talking about women in voter registration. They're gonna get back into immigration and LGBTQ in a minute. They're gonna get back on them, and then you're gonna get all these people joining against you again. And see, he knows that. So that's why he put those people in place. They can just basically overturn their state elections, because there were so many Republicans that went against him this time, the last time. That pissed him off. So he was discouraged. But now that he sees all these laws that Texas and these other states are getting passed, some of them silently, he's getting his confidence back. So now, just this week, he's talking about most likely he will be running for president again.
Well, you know what? We're gonna see what
You gonna see him because he supposed to be color commentary on the Holyfield fight this weekend. So
okay, every other president is paying tribute to 9/11, and these idiots will still vote for this dummy. Just doing the Holyfield, calling the Holyfield fight. Everybody has something on their agenda. George Bush is going to go to the Pentagon, the family of the Pentagon people. I forgot what Obama's doing, and of course Biden is doing something. But Jimmy Carter probably do something before him, because Jimmy Carter stay in there. And that man almost 100 years old, but he's calling the Holyfield fight.
Man, please.
And that's their patriot. That's their patriot that they want in office so bad.
You know, patriot where?
and get this, the contract that he got. First of all, he gonna make an absurd amount of money, is what he said, and also where the fight gonna be at, I think it's in Hollywood, Florida. And he got they gave him a G5 jet to fly from his home, which is basically driving distance. Is the equivalency.
He could walk.
Yeah, I mean, they say it's the equivalency of driving from here to Huntsville.
That jet's gonna take off and go straight up in the air and drop right back down. That's all it's gonna do.
Waste of money. And like I said, it's trying to show its power. Trying to show the power that it has. Why would you
give him that though? That's the dumbest thing in the world. Why would you give him that?
But these idiots around here still. This man, 9/11. What every other anniversary of 9/11? What have they said? Never forget.
That's right. 20 years.
So how is he remembering on the 20th year? He's calling the fight.
And he was in New York. But y'all, it is 10 o'clock.
Everything's so slow. Why don't they go ahead and file them charges? You got two states, Georgia potentially charged, New York potential charges. It just, and next thing you know, he will be in office again. Especially like his niece said, if he feels like the charges started to hit right at the right time, if they being slow and dragging their feet about it, he will run again. And what that means, immunity again, basically. And see what that means, statute of limitations. It's done.
Well, y'all, it is 10 o'clock. It was a good discussion. And I know Daryl probably still completely involved in the concert tonight. They got another one coming up this Sunday. I think Keith Sweat and Johnny Gill supposed to be there Sunday.
They sure put out concerts on Sunday, don't they?
Hey, that's a whole nother conversation, Jesse. It is. It's a whole nother conversation.
I'll tell you the truth, boy. They know we're gonna be tired coming out of church with a lot of us. Probably won't be able to make it. No, they'll make it, man. But that's what I'm saying. I got thoughts on that myself. But for tonight, we're gonna go ahead on and call it. Alabama, of course, is playing Mercer tonight, so Nick Saban ain't happy with them boys because they already got the big head.
Alabama upset. Alabama get upset about Mercer.
No, that ain't gonna happen. I don't see that happening. Not at all. But yeah, he got, because he was like, everybody was talking about how good they did the first half, and the second half he was like, technically it was 17-16. So
yeah, he was ticked off about that. He said you can't let your foot up off the gas. Now, he's not gonna let them run up no 70-something, but still you get slack and you get a little lackadaisical. He get ticked.
Yeah, he wanted that defense to just be still. Now they were still not because they ain't let them jokers get in the end zone on the 1 yard line a couple of times, but still, I get where he was coming from, and
yeah, because then you go in there playing teams like Mercer. Guess what? Mercer knows they have no chance of winning, but
they're gonna go all out.
Alabama get the most hits when they play those smaller schools like that. The schools that they pay to play, they end up getting a lot of injuries. God forbid. Not every time, but a lot of times that's when they get injuries. Because those schools come, they and then they lose.
Yep.
We playing Alabama, we're going to do what we can do. Because guess what? they may, some of those kids leave those schools and come to the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
They transfer, so they looking to be seen and noticed too. So they playing hard.
Now, what we hoping?
Don't go with the over. I don't know what the over is. Don't go with the over. I'm gonna just put it that way. Cause Nick is not gonna run it up.
Nah, he ain't gonna do that. He don't care what the line is in Vegas. He don't care nothing about that. He'll do on purpose. He can score again and won't score just because and be 2 points under.
Y'all get a chance to see the second and third string quarterback and some of the running backs and offensive linemen this weekend. So
Bear Bryant's great grandson gonna be in this week, so he'll get a chance to see how he play.
Well, everybody got to be tight on the third game of the week, third game of the season. So.
Lord have mercy.
Darn right. You darn right.
Lord have mercy. Lord have
Third
mercy.
game of the season, you got to go
Lord,
straight.
they got some iguanas down there. We got to go down there and play them iguanas.
We coming now.
Go down there and play them doggone iguanas.
Come on, keep on. Keep on.
Y'all got a true freshman quarterback, don't you?
Yeah. Oh man, did you see that boy? Did you see him? Did you see my boy?
No, I saw ours though.
Look, I think Eric King or whatever his name, I thought he was going to do better than what he did.
Talking about Miami? What about, man? Miami quarterback ain't nothing. Emory Jones is better than Miami quarterback, but we got a red shirt freshman. This boy is 6'4", 240 pounds, and he can run like a deer.
We'll see.
He's the quarterback.
Yeah, but if he redshirt, he ain't playing then.
I think he will. He wasn't the starting quarterback, but I think he's gonna take old boy's job though. I'll tell you that much. Cause that boy got Cam Newton size and wide.
He sound like a Cardell Jones.
Well, if he got Cam Newton size, well, his job is on.
He'll wind up being like Cam and looking for a job.
Cam just messed up leaving now. I don't care what anybody say.
He ain't leave there. He got put out.
The fact he ain't got that vaccine, that should cost him that job. I'm telling you. You can say what you want to say, but that's something going to cost himself that job because he's vaccinated. I'm telling you.
It was that plus Matt Jones went in there and showed out too. So got to give it up.
But Matt, I ain't gonna take anything from Matt Jones. Now he did play well, but the fact of the matter is that they both played well. They both played well, and it was looking more like Cam was gonna be the starter. But the fact is that Cam is not vaccinated. That boy is, and a lot of them other players on that team are, and there's some aren't. But they're not the quarterback. So the quarterback sits in the room with all the other quarterbacks when they doing
I tell you like this, I want to say that them jokers making sure everybody get vaccinated because I know Jacksonville did. Urban Miles made sure everybody on the team got vaccinated.
Well, you want to know something? I don't blame them. They should. They should mandatory the whole NFL. They already told the refs they got to get vaccinated. So make the players get vaccinated. You want to do
the refs? They made it mandatory for the refs?
Yep. Mandatory to refs. Refs and even NBA refs now, they mandatory. They have to be vaccinated. Ain't no coming up in there you ain't vaccinated. I don't blame them. It just, they should. This is time out for all that personal whatever you got going on with you. You want your job, you get vaccinated. You want to send your kids to school, they got to get vaccinated. Plain and simple.
But y'all enjoy the night. Y'all watch the game. Have a good, safe weekend.
I don't know, y'all. The Dallas Cowboys playing some good football tonight.
Yeah, they looking pretty decent tonight there, Jesse.
They looking real good tonight.
Playing against Tampa Bay.
Dak looking extremely good tonight.
Dak real fresh. He ain't played since the fifth game of last year.
Dak.
Yeah, Dak back this year.
Dak played football since he hurt his ankle. Everybody was concerned, but I told my boy, I said, I don't know about that. I think Dak will come out and show out this game. And he showed out a lot more than I thought he would, but he's showing out. I mean, it don't look like nothing bothered him. I think they were lying.
Oh, no. They made sure he ain't do nothing. until their first game.
I'm just talking. I know they ain't lying. I'm just saying,
I'm saying they made sure he was nice and fresh for this first game. They ain't gonna make him do too much of nothing.
But shoot, he's doing everything.
That's what I'm saying. They're gonna save him for the game, just like they do Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson don't do nothing in practice.
Right.
He do it all on the field.
Right. I was just saying, the fact that a lot of the the pro folks and analysts be talking like he's gonna be rusty and we're gonna this and we're gonna that. Oh no! I'm seeing Dak is Dak.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had to give it up to him.
He's been running. He's been stepping into his toes. He's been doing everything Dak do.
But look who he's throwing to though.
They talk until they until they put their foot in their mouth, and then they put their foot in their mouth. It was they backing up off. Well, I never said so. Yes, you did.
Right. But you want to know something? When I be watching the show, the sports show, there are a couple of analysts that call every last one of them on everything they say, and I be right there, stick it to them. But then he was a doubter, he was a hating on the boy. You can't say nothing about him. Can't say nothing about him, man. I gotta give it to Dak. He playing some football. He playing some football tonight. Now you give it to the brother. He resilient.
But y'all have a great weekend, guys. We'll talk on Tuesday.
All right, y'all have a good night.
Y'all have a good night. And be safe.
God bless everybody. Thank you.